This is Teaching Live with Jack Stevenson, and that's me, Jack. And I want to thank you for joining me, especially in this video, because it is really the introduction to a new series, Teaching Live. It's very similar to the one Solfege Live with Jack Stevenson. That one, we really got that one going. So I thought, okay, we have that one, we can start introducing maybe the teaching process. And I'm going to focus mostly on teaching eurythmics. I want to provide examples of teaching various music subjects, or what I call solfege subjects, such as polyrhythmics, polymetrics, complementary rhythm, counter time, just to mention a few. They're all what sometimes people think of eurythmic subjects, but they're not. They're music subjects or solfege subjects, and we use eurythmics to study them. I will analyze the subject and provide a path toward experiencing it physically. Additionally, I want to point out the pros and the cons of the teacher's performance, including my own, which we will have a lot of on this series. To do this, though, we need to know and understand the 5 principles of a Jaques-Dalcroze education and the 10 eurythmic subjects. For clarification, I refer you to the article I wrote and published in the Orff Echo in 1977, it might be 76, I'm not exactly sure, the principles of Dalcroze education, and another article written by me in the Church Music and Dalcroze Education. It was published in the March 1982 edition of the Choristers Guild Letters out of Garland, Texas. So way back in 1977, I first wrote about these principles, and again in 1982. You can capture both the principles and the subjects here on the screen. Look them over, and if you have questions about how I extrapolated these principles and subjects from Monsieur Jacques' writings, please write me. And I can send you other articles explaining them that are not copyrighted like the first 2 I mentioned. Additionally, this slide includes a little illustration that represents my approach to training a Jaques-Dalcroze educator. In this diagram, each subject, eurythmics, solfege, and improvisation, flows naturally into the next. Eurythmics leads to solfege, solfege leads to the improvisation then brings us right back to the eurythmics. And there, when we start, that's where the new teacher starts to take over. They have come through the whole process of the solfege, the eurythmic. Okay, now we're going to be improvisation. And once we get through that, we go into the eurythmics, then they start teaching. Because the eurythmics teacher, or the Dalcroze teacher, actually comes out of the process of their own personal Dalcroze education. They must be educated as Dalcrozians themselves, not just learn about how to do various things and copy the method. No. It's totally different. You must come through the process yourself. And the longer you take through the process, the better you're going to be. The earlier you start the process, the better you're going to be. So, it is a process that we want to send all our students through before they become Dalcroze teachers for themselves. Further ado, let's get started. Oftentimes when I'm teaching pedagogy live, which is the only way to do it, I jump in. I jump into the lesson and I actually help the student out of the problem, and then as I show them right there on the spot how to fix it and what you can do at the moment, and then I allow them to take back over. Right away, they've learned, I see how to do it. He showed me how I could fix this, and not allow me to go down a path where there's no return. Like it's like you can watch the student teacher going down and they're falling deeper and deeper into a pit, and there's no pulling them out of it. And the lesson just unravels and everybody's lost. The student teacher, the participants who were taking the lesson in the first place, and me, the teacher, because I failed the student. So I love this jumping in and fixing it right off the bat. Now, some people don't like it. They really don't like to be interrupted because in their mind, they want to finish this lesson. But you see, I don't care if they finish the lesson. I am more interested in teaching them the process toward finishing the lesson. So that when they're doing their student teaching, I don't need them to finish the lesson. I need them to learn smooth integration, smooth step-by-step procedure, going up the spiral, little by little, gradual by gradual steps, small steps, little increments, moving smoothly from one point to the other without a big interruption in the process. I mentioned one is improvisation. The second one is talking. Yes, talking. And the third one, my favorite, is lesson plans. So let's go through them one at a time. Improvisation. What a gift improvisation is to us as Jaques-Dalcrozians. It's really the one thing that separates us from any other type of education. Never mind music education. I'm talking about in general education. The use of improvisation as a teaching tool is really unprecedented. It's a genius. It's the genius of this entire process Jaques-Dalcroze created. So for me, the improvisation does three things. It acts as a compass. It sort of shows us the way of where we're going to go. Oftentimes, I can improvise as I'm playing for a given subject. I start slipping in little hints of what's going to come either in the lesson itself or in future lessons. So if I'm playing for 2 against 3, I might slip in 4 against 3 playing, or I might slip in 5 against 3 playing. I might do all sorts of different things, but stay focused on the 2 against 3. It's just an example. Now, the other next point is the motivator. It acts as a motivation. It motivates the students to really want to enjoy music, to really love the music itself. So you want to make really nice music, as nice as possible as you can make, because your music is actually a gift to your students. No matter how simple, how clear and clean, it's still a gift. And it's something that you are creating. So it motivates the students to want to learn. It gets them more in touch with music, and it gets them more in touch with the subject that you're teaching. So it's a great motivator. Then finally, it's an educator, so that it can really help me keep my lesson and keep my students on track. I can manipulate my playing so that I can focus on their concentration. I can focus on their memories. I can do things with my playing, create series or create systemizations. We use this term now, systemizations. We create these systemizations. All sorts of things you can do with your improvisation that actually does the educating. There are countless other examples. Now, being a great improviser, phenomenal improviser, doesn't mean you're a great teacher. In fact, oftentimes it's just the opposite. The idea of improvising for our lessons is really a skill that most of us, or all of us, need to learn. It's something that we need to learn how to manipulate our improvisation so that it becomes the educator, the motivator, the guide. So these are highly refined skills that take time and are not going to be readily at hand when you graduate from whatever level of certification or you're in. It takes time, it takes practice, it takes experience teaching to really start to hone in on these skills and use them very creatively and almost subliminally, not very forward in the eye, but always something in the background that's working. You're always working in the background with your playing and manipulating your lesson through various ways by how you play. It's very unique. This is what makes it very unique. And the better you are at that is far more important than you being this brilliant improviser who really does more entertaining than actually teaching. So keep that really in the forefront of your thinking. Now, the next major point is talking in the class. This is always for me a precarious experience. When the student teacher, begins to talk, my ears immediately perk up because I want to know one thing. First of all, how long are they going to talk? Because the more you talk, the less experience is happening. Second thing is when they're talking, well, why did they stop? What's the point of their stopping at all? Why did we need to stop? And oftentimes it's to give an explanation of the next exercise. It's lots of the time, it's sort of a stop to say, okay, this is what we're going to do next. Now, sometimes that's really absolutely important and absolutely necessary. But a lot of the time, it's really not. We really can just start playing. And then as we're playing, we say, okay, clap the beat. Okay, step what you clap. Could you use arm beats with this meter? Can you clap twice as fast as you're stepping? Now, when I say change, use change between hands and feet. Change. Change. Then they come back. Now, when I say up, you step twice as slow. Just one little direction as and notice I'm doing this spiral because I'm going to make it more and more complicated as we go. I don't have to stop and talk about what we're going to do. We just do it. If I stop and say, okay, now I'm going to play in a 4 meter, already a problem. Why don't we listen to you play and decide what the meter is? Okay, never mind. We're stopping 4 meter. I'm going to play in 4 meter, and you're going to step the beat and clap clap along with it. Now I'm going to say eep, and you're going to go twice as fast with your hands and feet. I will say return, and you're going to go back to tempo primo. Then I'm going to say up, and then you'll go twice as slow. Now, if I say change, you'll change between hands and feet. Okay. So at this point, you go back to the piano, you start playing, and you start in the student. What are we doing? Are we just stepping what you play, or are we clapping and stepping? You see, too much information. You don't need to say anything. Just start playing. You play. They follow. They start walking. Or they don't do anything. They stand and look at you. Oftentimes this has happened to me, especially if I'm giving a workshop and these people don't know me. I just start playing. I don't talk. I don't even say hello. I just start playing. Why? Because the music is the point. So the introductions, the hellos, the whatever, the talking, you got to get that out of there. Start with the music. As you start playing, they're doing nothing. You say, step the beat. Bingo. Off we go. And we've already started. We have given them something to do while they're listening. Now, also, you could say, as you're playing, just listen and find what you think is the beat. Then, okay, now that you think you have the beat, could you step that for me? Or if you feel like they're not really even ready to do that, could you clap it for me? Or could you tap it for me on your thigh? Or anything just to get them started. Then move from there to the next little idea. Okay, can you step now what you're tapping? Can you try stepping and see what, and then you can see, oh, some people think the beat is this. Some people think the beat is this. Some people think the beat is this. You might get all sorts of different reactions. Of course you're going to get different reactions. And you want different reactions. You want to see who is perceiving what I'm playing how. And so now I have to think, I must change my playing to get everybody on the same page. Most of the time it doesn't matter which page we're on, as long as we're all together. So now I need to change my playing a little bit. What can I do? Do I want to go to the faster and start articulating my beat more? Do I want to make it slow, go twice as slow and make it very legato so everybody, oh, that's where he wants us to be. So I try to guide them. You see, no talking. And the next dangerous thing when talking happens is that the whiteboard starts to show up. And then that's where not only my ears are perking, now I'm almost out of my seat. See, because I get very nervous about going to the board. Going to the board, when you're headed toward the board and you have that marker in your hand and you're going to the board and you're going to write, think before you write, have they done this already? Then, if they haven't, you pull the marker back and you create an exercise where they're going to really come home to having done what you wanted to write on the board. Because that's a theory comes after the practice. The experience first, the theory next. So writing on the board, put this in your brain. Writing on the board, have they done it? Have they done it? Have they done it? Have they done it? And I many times have headed myself toward the board and just simply turned around and sat back down on the piano. Because I ask myself, have they done this? Or even, have they done this sufficiently? You know, are they asking questions about the theory? Are they asking, well, how does this look on paper? Those kinds of things. Then you might consider, maybe I should help them out because these questions keep reoccurring in their conscious mind, preventing them actually from focusing their attention on the experience because they're a little frustrated about they don't understand the theory behind what you're saying. This is mostly true for conservatory background students who've already done their bachelor's degree, their master's degree, they've had all their theory courses. Now they're here with you and they're going, this is so different from what I've learned. So the questions arrive. That's when you have to start thinking, maybe it's more prudent for me to actually write this than not to. And to ignore their questions is never a good idea. You have to always figure out, why are they asking the questions? Now, I can think about, what questions? Now I can think, wait, maybe, and sometimes I say, well, let's do this one exercise and it might just answer your question. That's a very good approach if you have something that's going to do that. So, stopping, talking, going to the board, those three things are always real danger signs. That the lesson just might go off the rails here. That it's so much easier to be the theory teacher because actually, everybody's been trained in this way to teach theory because they've watched it for years. They've been in theory classes. They know how theory teachers work. Theory teachers work from the intellectual point of view. This is what they do, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's not what we do. That's the difference. It's not what we do. We do it the other way around. And in hope that we're reaching the musician first, then the intellect, then the intellectual. The musician first, who becomes the intellectual. That's what we're after. Lesson plans for most people are a sacred exercise. They really feel strongly, most teachers in any branch of teaching, will talk about lesson plans and feel very strongly that without a lesson plan, it's impossible to go into the classroom. And I guess for most people, that's probably true. Everybody, including me, needs a plan. We need to have something in our heads, if not on paper, that is going to outline the concepts that we want to cover in the lesson. Yes, of course. We want something to tell us, oh, okay, I'm going to really work on twice as fast and twice as slow, and then I'm going to work on a specific rhythm pattern that uses twice as fast and twice as slow, like anapest. I can work on anapest pattern, doing it twice as fast and twice as slow, and then eventually polyrhythmics, where I do one tempo in the feet and another tempo in the hands. Then quick reaction exercise by saying change, and we change between hands and feet. Oh, coordination, balance, all those great things coming up. Yes, I can write that all down and have that clearly in my head as a path to getting to the aim of my lesson, which, if you're doing lesson plans, your aim really should be eventually, not all the time, but eventually, a piece of music. That's why I always have my students compose a piece of music. At first, simple melody that they're going to have. Their concepts that they want to cover in their lesson are going to be in that melody. And we're going to get to that melody by the end of the lesson, and maybe even do a little choreography with that melody in the lesson. Some kind of plastique experience where we design the melody in space. That would be sort of like, in my view, the ideal lesson, especially if you're doing an exam. It's an ideal lesson. Now, do we always get to the melody? No. Do we always get to the plastique part? No. But it's the plan. Yes, have a plan. Now, study your plan. Think about your plan. How it's all going to work out. And I will tell you right now, all the thinking about how it's going to work out, just throw that away, because it's not. The best laid plans, no way. Because you're working with human beings who have other ideas. And as Dalcrozians, we need to be sensitive to those other ideas. We need to be sort of really ready to go, oh, that's a great idea. Let's try that. It's not in my plan, but it's in their plan. And who are we teaching? Them. We're not teaching the lesson plan. We're teaching human beings who we want to become creative individuals who really contribute to the world of music. So we have to encourage this. So when somebody comes up with what you thought, that's really a good idea, I wish I'd have thought of that, that's when to use it. That's when to use it. So to incorporate, you see, into the lesson. Now, how can I do that? Because I left the lesson plan at home. I didn't come with a lesson plan. I didn't put it on the piano in my big yellow, those tablets, those legal tablets, yellow legal tablets. No. I didn't put it on the music stand, on the music rack on the piano, or on the side of the music stand. It's not there. I can't stop and refer to it, which is cardinal sin. No. The plan has to be here and here. Has to be in your heart, has to be in your soul, what you want to do. And you have to be free of it so that you can pull in other ideas from the class. Now, eventually, you get good at this enough and you have enough experience, you don't even have to plan. You just see the group, you know the subject you're going to teach, you see the group and you begin. And off you go. And you have all this stuff to pull from. Well, aren't you lucky? Yes. That's what happens when you age, and I'm here to tell you, when you age as a Dalcrozian. The idea of you sitting the night before to really go over all kinds of things what you could do comes to a sort of a halt, really. It's no longer necessary because everything is becoming integrated. So because as Dalcroze people, we continue to grow and grow and grow and develop, where we're starting to really make up stuff that you probably have done or seen or experienced someplace, but now you're using that in your own way. And this is where you become your own teacher. You become yourself. You become that man coming out of the lake. You've seen it, that drawing by Paul Tavenet. You can see he comes out, and I use it as my seal for my institute. This is the symbol that used to be. It's on mine, on all diplomes, because you were that person. It was explained to me very clearly, because I asked, what is this symbol about? Why is this on my diploma? Because that is you, he said to me. He said, this is now who you are. You have come out of the process and you are ready to learn. Yes. And so we're constantly coming out of the process and learning. Coming out of the process and learning. Okay, so I hope that explains a little bit about my philosophy on teaching teachers. So I hope you do watch the videos that I'm going to produce this season, and watch for the problems, watch for the solutions, listen to the improvisation. See, what am I doing? Why am I playing the way I'm playing? All those things, you got to perk up. You got to watch. You got to listen. And then you got to come up with ideas that might help the teaching process. So, have a good observation. Have a good time watching the videos. And please take a moment to give us a like and comment. Either write me or comment down below. Thanks a million for watching.